Alrighty, Shelter Footy Cast live from Backchat Studios. Are we back in business here in the West? West Coast, Fremantle, both win, and we are back in business. That's right, Monday after round 10. It is the 19th of May. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings, Shelter Footy Cast. Skeeter, a good weekend in the results for Freo on West Coast.
It is. You're not really sizzling, and we understand why, but WA Footy at least gets a reason to smile after a pretty tough weekend. In fact, I did my research on this one, and it'd have to go back to round 11. I think last year, May 18, was when the Dockers and the Eagles both won on the same weekend. So that's going back 12 months. And it was 281 days since the Eagles had last won a game. So I actually did that research by myself, which I'd be very proud of. But
did you actually?
I did. I was at the ground yesterday, and I said, on my Google, I said, tell me how many days between August something and this. Seriously. And it came with 281. I went, because normally I just go through the calendar and add up all the days. Like a complete numpty.
Like counting them one by one.
31, there's 30. Yeah, I had them. Anyway, the Google did it for me.
Well done.
Anyway, it was a very good performance. Nice to just talk about some positives on field for both clubs.
Yeah, so I just spoke to you, Skate, before we turn this on. I'm going to chat about Sellers at the back end of the episode. You can hear in my voice and my energy is not great, but I do want to speak about sort of the weekend that's gone. I just don't want to set that tone at the start of the show because we do actually like having a bit of a laugh and a smile. And I do think that's important as well, Skate, if that's all right with you. Robert Walls as well.
Yeah, no, in fact, it's been an absolutely crappy year, to be totally honest, on the footy front. And the Bars and Andrew Cracker, the list goes on. But, yeah, we'll discuss that later. But it was, having spoken to people, it wasn't a fun day yesterday. No,
it was a hard weekend for the footy club in West Coast. But that, all the more reason, a great win from the West Coast Eagles. So, look, difficult for me to skip into this, Skate, but I don't know if we've got action and outcome happening again, Scooter.
You love the Tribune. You love the MRO, don't you? I couldn't give a flying rat's about. Seriously. I'd rather talk about the upsets, the performances.
We'll get to that, mate.
Yeah,
we'll get to that.
You love the MRO. We're wanting us to be Michael Christian's WA, sort of have like the All Australian panel. You can be the MRO in Perth. Because you do have this fascination with it, don't you?
Well, I have a fascination with things when they don't get done properly, Skeeter. Joel Amati, 3 weeks for a bump on Jordan Boyd, which is, I think, more outcome than action. He got pinballed into him, didn't you? You see this one Friday night?
I had the game on. I wasn't totally engaged, but yeah.
Having
a couple of shoulders? Yeah, of course it was.
Yeah,
it was. That's okay.
Is that normal for a Friday?
Or either Friday or Saturday, just pin the ears back occasionally and then pay for it the next day for a few hours.
Well, let me tell you what happened. So Joel Amati, this is 2 minutes to go in the game. Jordan Boyd was streaming out. They were sort of trying to move the ball quickly. He kind of got bumped and tackled by one player, and Amati was steaming in to put pressure, and he had his arm cocked sort of in the shirt front position, but it would have missed him unless he was sort of bumped into him. So I wouldn't be surprised if Sydney challenged this one because it was less of a poor action than Justin McInerney in the same game, who's got 1 week for bumping Jack Silvani. That action, which he's already been suspended for 3 weeks, by the way, this year. That action was worse than Amati's. Yet, in the exact same game, McInerney came steaming in and was never missing Silvani. In fact, he was just very, very, very fortunate that Silvani just pulled away at the last second. A centimetre more, Jack Silvani's jaw's broken. So, the action, I would flip these. I would absolutely flip these, but the outcome... Silvani ended up coming off the ground, but I think with a groin, not a head knock. So in essence, I'm not listening to you, but I'm not listening to you because I'm saying no. I'm saying that with all due respect. You should come in here with your muffs on sometimes. Put them on.
I can talk for 5 minutes and then you just repeat the same thing. No, seriously, you should approach the AFL about having an involvement because you are keen to either change the system. Or B, you have a genuine interest in it, and that's very noble of you.
But see, you're pretending you're being serious.
No, I'm saying you should approach the AFL and ask to. Well, Pav's on the All Australian panel. Why can't you?
How do you reckon that would go?
I don't know.
Hi Andrew. Hi Laura. Hi, Michael.
Well,
I know I've just been potting you for the last 3 years.
Most of the AFL's getting potted at the moment, and I think they're pretty much used to it. But yeah, Michael Christian's been doing it for a fair while.
We wouldn't be able to, like, this show would just stop because I wouldn't be able to talk
Well,
about
you're still
it
talking
anymore.
about it. Just talk about footy, not MRO. But yes, your action over outcome and outcome over action. I absolutely agree with it.
You do?
No, I agree with your
Action over outcome.
No, I say the argument action over outcome versus outcome over action.
so you do agree with
I do agree in premise of what you're saying, but
So I've finally got to you.
no, not really. Oh, you haven't got to me. I can't fight anymore with you over it.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair, Skater. Can we before we break down the games over here? So, like, is WA Footy is it good again? Because we watched those two performances on the weekend from Freo and West Coast, and they're both very good. Like, I was at the game yesterday as a fan. First time I've ever been to a West Coast game as a fan. I enjoyed it, if you're wondering. They played well. The pressure was high. The desperation was there. I watched, I reckon, I don't know if I've missed it or they had a significant focus on it, but every little action, players were running from either end of the ground to go and get around their teammates. I don't know if I've seen that.
No, it's fair call. And like I remember calling a couple of smothers of Liam Baker or spoils. You're right, and that whether it came because of and I think this has been building. Let's not just put this down to the emotion of what's happened at the club in the last 48 hours. I think this has been building, and there have been improvements, and the win was inevitable, I thought. And St Kilda, albeit I didn't tip them, nor did you, but this wasn't a huge surprise that they were able to. I was surprised they were able to sustain it for the whole game, essentially. They're very consistent. So are you asking if WA Footy is back?
Yeah, that's the question. I don't want to break down the games. It's like you said, Freo's gone away from home, so that's West Coast. Freo's gone away from home, beating a very good side who just come back from an away trip, beating one of the best sides in the comp in Geelong. Freo dispatched GWS on their home stadium.
Yeah, 6-hour sample size is a bit too short to say we're
Right.
back. And the reason I say that is I thought the Giants were as bad as I've seen them in 12 months. And this is taking nothing away from Whaley-Lupp and what they did. So I want to see more consistency. With Michael Walters yesterday, he said, look, yeah, obviously we need to put together a body of 5 to 6 weeks or whatever it is to show our fans and show that we can be trusted. So there's clearly the talent there. And as for the Eagles, I think it's a great reward for Andrew McQualter. I think he's tweaked the game a bit, having Hofko in the midfield, Ryan likewise. He's done a few things. Oscar Allen yesterday was a natural to go forward. So yeah, I thought his coaching's been pretty good with a team obviously that doesn't have a chockload of talent.
But the pressure hasn't been on Andrew McQualter. The pressure's been on Justin Longmuir. So
course.
does a game like that for Freo, how long does the pressure cooker get turned down for? Like, is there immediate, well, Freo are back?
No, it's not back. But I'll tell you what, their run on paper, that's a problem with the Dockers because you look at their run and go, right, here's some real positives, and then they have the banana peel. But they've got Port Adelaide, Gold Coast away, which is very tough, then a bye, and I'm not sure the order, but they've definitely got North Melbourne, Essendon and St Kilda all at Optus Stadium.
Right. So they should win 4 of those 5.
Well, they should win 4 of those 5. That puts you back in the conversation.
Well, that's why the game was so important on the weekend because if they lost that, then it was scraping the barrel a little bit. But I tend to think we'll see an immediate turn both in the public and in the media. I agree with you with neither team are back, but I think we'll just see an immediate uptick and pressure off. Freo back. They've had a good game last week, didn't win. Been excellent against GWS, and now it's all good. They beat Port Adelaide this weekend. It's all good. They're back.
Well, essentially, we've had
in the media
2 or 3 years of negativity from us in the media about the team's performances, both and more so the West Coast Eagles.
You can't flip that after 1 week.
No, you can't.
Which it will.
But by the same token, it is nice to be able to talk about some positives as opposed to no one wants to kick a team when they're down, and there's been a bit of that happening for a fair while now. So no, absolutely, and the Eagles specifically, as I said, it's 281 days. That's a fair time to wait to sing the song. And yesterday they didn't quite get it right in the rooms afterwards. They had, they were supposed to get the first timers in the inner circle.
I didn't say,
but they didn't have. I think they went in there, just poured some power out over them, but because whether of the occasion, what had just happened, it was essentially the whole club in a song. So look, for what it's worth, I think they're entitled to enjoy that. But the song wasn't sung, as you can imagine. It was sung with relief, but it wasn't sung with
Gusto.
the gusto that you'd expect.
Fair enough. Woolwich Marawa, let's start with that game. Defeated Euroke 108-80 Optus Stadium. This was yesterday, of course. Eagles finally win. First win under Andrew Mini McQualter. Ironically or fittingly, McQualter played 3 grand finals for the Saints under Ross Lyon, and his first win in the AFL comes against St Kilda, his old side as a player, and against his old coach in Ross Lyon. That wouldn't be completely lost on him, would it?
I think, a very small part of it yesterday that would have sort of resonated. He's obviously got a huge amount of respect for Ross, I imagine, as a coach and what he's done over the journey. But, here he is in his first season as a senior coach. Ross has been doing the business for, since 2007. So he's a veteran, but they seem to struggle on the bigger grounds, St Kilda, in a lot of ways. And yesterday, another case in point. Look, I thought, I mentioned Brady Hoff earlier. I thought he was terrific for the Eagles.
Loved his game.
So
He's a bona fide midfielder now. He's a midfielder. Yeah, you can't play him back anymore.
I think, you've got the option, but primarily, I think that's the development in his game, and that's terrific.
You cannot develop someone in the back line, have him. I think he should have been an All-Australian squad. Was it last year or the year before? Last year. Really
and more
year.
Stopper. You mean stopper,
right? Playing with the best players. He's keeping them to nothing. I think it was last year. Should have been close to the All-Australian squad. Move him into the midfield, successfully do that and move him back. He's not going back. He's a midfielder now.
Yeah.
It's disappointing for the backman fraternity. But
and he had the footy inside 50, and I was calling the game for 7, and he's kicked it. It was a bit of a mongrel sort of kick, but it was had some distance on it, and it was it bounced through. I'm sort of concentrating on that, and luckily Ryan Daniels, credit to him, he pointed at me, go, no, because I hadn't even resonated that Hoff hadn't hit the scoreboard, and it was a nice moment for him after 60 plus games. I think him and Harry Edwards have. I think both in that sort of category of looking for the maiden goal.
Well, how many players was it their first win? Did you do
I
those stats?
I think it was half a dozen.
Right.
Roughly half. In terms of for the club, you think of Graham and Baker as 2 of those, and Tom Gross becomes one, and Jack Hutchinson, I think, played 14 games without having saluted. So there's probably, I think, half a dozen.
Because I know Harry Edwards. He won against Gold Coast in round 22 last year.
So I think it's still half a dozen when you think of it, like whether it's Tyler Brockman and those types of. So we've got to 5. But I think there's half a dozen. So, it's been overdue.
34, 35, 36, 37. That is Harry Edwards' second wing in the last 38 games he's played.
Oh, no.
So he won against the Gold Coast in round 22 last year. Other than that, his last win for West Coast was round 8, 2021 against St Kilda.
Gee, you're good at doing that, aren't you?
Yeah, I know.
AFL tables.
Hey, like
no, it's good. I like it. That'd take me about an hour and a half to
I
work
just
that out.
knew he was in some bad areas with his ratios. So,
I've got to say, though, he was in good areas yesterday.
That was his best game of the year.
Yeah, easily. And I thought he did some really nice work. This is the reason that Oscar Allen was able to play forward. I mean, St Kilda, Matthias Filippo, who played a bit more midfield, they didn't really have it. Mason Wood started well early, but they probably don't stretch you as much in height and talent as some teams with their key forwards. Is that fair to call?
I thought Sandy Brock didn't look out of place. And you're right. It wasn't a 3-pronged attack like you would at
they say you're playing Carlton or whatever it is. Yeah, it's a different looking beast, so that probably afforded them, put it this way, for Harry, it was a blessing to be able to, and there's a confidence thing now. He can hopefully build on that, but there's going to be tougher challenges than that.
Harley Reid was jumping on heads,
doing everything. You could tell that he was absolutely enjoying those moments, and from outside 50, and I think he's engaged. Like I spoke to Danny Shuey revealed pre-game that he dropped a message to Luke, his coach, about how he's tracking, and just that's a sign of a young bloke. Just normally it's a coach always looking after the young bloke, but he was mindful of what had happened, and that was all part of the weekend. He was outstanding. There were lots of positives for the Eagles, and as I said, this has been building. It hasn't just been a one-off. I thought they were very good against Richmond in parts, and yesterday they completed the deal.
They won the first 3 quarters of the game, which I think equals the amount of quarters they'd won before that. So they started the game well. The same as a GWS game with Freo. St Kilda looked poor from the get-go. The intensity at the contest from them was dreadful. I was sort of having a bit of a laugh in the stands, having a couple of beers, a couple of shelters, and by the way, they don't serve shelters at Optus. I can tell you that.
No, I know that.
And they're in paper cups. Like, you don't drink quick enough, it'll be on your lap because it'll be dissolving the cup. But I was sort of taking the piss out of Dan, who was sitting next to me, a big Eagles man.
How did he track during the day? Because he was very confident.
I was live streaming him basically.
Do you? So you just record him all day?
Yeah, just like I've done you multiple times.
Just so, do you just like this? It's like a 12-year-old. I love it. Do you so you sit there and just record him the whole day?
Yeah, like got him eating sausage rolls. I got him, just the ups and downs, the emotion, Skeeter. He was an emotional man. Like with 4 minutes to go when St Kilda kicked that goal to bring him within 19 points. I'm like, mate, you're fine. And he's like, nah, it's all over. We're going to lose. We're going to lose. I was having a laugh with him early. Like the contest was just terrible by St Kilda. And again, West Coast.
Isn't it funny?
It was good. What?
I'm seeing they dished that up against the Eagles and then what you saw against the Dockers 2 weeks ago.
It was unbelievable.
It's just extraordinary.
Yeah, Freo will be sitting there going, what about us? Why didn't we cop that St Kilda? Because they were just dreadful. Liam Ryan, I think, looks really good as a midfielder. Yep. And if it's the Shea Bolton model at Freo, which they're obviously using to great success over the last few weeks, I think it looks exactly the same. Like playing mostly as a midfielder, a little bit as a forward. And it's good for West Coast.
Speaking of forwards, you got a shout out for Jack Higgins, 5 goals.
He's one back in the Coleman,
mate. I asked Michael Walters this yesterday. Silly chance, isn't he, to win the Coleman medal or certainly be in the top 3 would be enormous. I mean, they kicked 12 for the day and he's kicked 5 of them.
How's your research on that? How many small forwards have won the Coleman recently?
Got me covered there. I am thinking the only small forward that in my, like even going back 30, 40 years, Kevin Bartlett would have kicked a... No, I'm seriously, back in the 80s. But most of them are forwards. Okay, I'm just trying to give you a name. Kevin Bartlett was a small forward.
It's just like... Kevin Bartlett's like 100 years old.
Okay, well, you want a question answered about small forwards? Yeah, find me one.
Can you remember Harry Valance when he won it in 1931 for Carlton? Do you remember that one? Was that enjoyable?
No, I don't remember it, William.
All right, I'll give it to you. Yeah. The last small forward to win the Coleman medal. Oh, I mean, Tony Modra wasn't tall, but he's certainly key. No. Mate, who's Simon Beasley?
Simon Beasley was a full forward.
I don't know. It's
okay, because you don't know. Don't mock me because I do know.
I mean, was Malcolm Blight a key forward?
Well, he wasn't a small forward.
So who did you say?
I said Kevin Bartlett.
Kevin Bartlett. Well, he hasn't won a Coleman.
No, I'm saying I think he kicked 80 or 100 goals.
Well, he didn't win the Coleman. Michael Roach?
He was a full forward.
Okay.
A disco Roach, high flyer.
Kevin Templeton?
Kelvin Templeton, you numpty. So you laugh at me
Larry
about social
Donahue.
media.
I'm just trying to find.
That's what I'm saying. They're very, very minimal.
Larry Donahue.
I'm going to find out what Kevin Bartlett's best return was in a season.
Was Lee Matthews a key forward?
No, he was a small forward, essentially.
1975, he kicked 67 goals.
So he's the closest then.
He's the last non-key forward to win the Coleman.
There you go.
So it'd be a pretty good effort by Jack Higgins 50 years ago.
A bloody good effort.
Far out. Well, 1975,
I was 5, thank you.
Right. So
you were like, but that's okay. This is a question. Do you even know what year the man landed on the moon?
Do you?
Of course I do. 1966. I wasn't born though, but you're still allowed to know things that happened before you were in this space.
I'm very surprised you weren't watching that. I'm very surprised.
It's a bit hard when you're not born yet, Sky. But just remember, bloke, your generation, 30. What happened before 1980? It didn't happen.
Yeah.
Who cares?
No, I just haven't seen it like you have. While you laugh.
That's
well
right.
done, West Coast. Good win.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We didn't pick them, did we?
Nah.
No. While you're up, defeated GWS 95-61 in an absolute walkover at NG Stadium. Just their 3rd game of the year at home, GWS, but it didn't matter. Fremantle won every quarter. Shea Bolton was electric with 24 touches and 3 goals. They are using him as he should be used right now. And Luke Jackson, interestingly enough, was dominant after a big week of trade talk off the field. Skeeter, how did you see this one?
Just we'll start with the last subject first, Luke Jackson. It's a debate that keeps giving us different twists and turns, doesn't it? Because Luke Jackson, Sean Darcy, we know the trade talk or the request to go back to Melbourne's been floating in the distance. But I think on a small sample size that Luke Jackson, just playing as a ruckman, as the ruck, they look a better side. Now, I know when you win, everything, the grass is greener, the sun's shining, but he looks more comfortable in that role. I think that's fair to say. So off the back of that, Sean Darcy, when he does regain his fitness, I think first step goes back and plays 2 or 3 weeks in the waffle
minimum
to get himself right. Yeah, and then after that, there's a decision to be made because I thought Pat Voss was okay in his backup role.
He shows effort, like he shows intensity.
He's got the quality of Darcy. We know that.
Very worst, he's intense. Bossy,
Yes.
he's steaming around.
There could have been he could have kicked the first of the day, and he's
erratic.
He's erratic. Erratic's a great word. He had a couple of chances, but you know what? He brings energy.
Yeah.
He brings energy, right? And the pressure from the Dockers, from Waddy Lup was outstanding on Saturday. In complete contrast to the Giants. I thought they looked as flat as I'd seen them, to be honest. And that's no discrediting what the Dockers did, but I think the Giants assisted their demise.
Yeah, I mean, Giants are just hanging on to the 8 at the moment. They sit level with Freo. So it was a big game for both clubs because it was sort of an 8-pointer, if you look at it that way. So, you know, they've been interesting, GWS. I don't know if they've quite got their game style right, maybe. It almost seems like it's too one way at the moment. Like I think, pride themselves on their defensive intensity and defensive. So you hear about the tsunami or whatever.
Yep.
That's actually a defensive term they look and defensively right now they just use this sort of terminology like they get offside, like that they're all this big wave offensively and they turn it over and the defensive tsunami's not there. So Freo took full advantage of it. You know, I liked Michael Frederick's game. I thought,
it's his best game for. Well, it was his 25th birthday as well on the day.
Birthday, Freddie. And
I've got to be honest with you, the week before I was suggesting he was one player that could be tipped out of the boat in terms of selection. I just thought, and it's a tough role that he plays because it's that forward role. But I thought he, obviously could have kicked more than the 3. In fact, he's never kicked more than 3. He's had a bunch of 3s in his career, but hasn't been able to hit the 4. He should have kicked 4 on the weekend easily. But
Brayshaw and Sarong are the highest sort of possession getters. So Sarong had 36, Brayshaw had 30. That's absolutely a positive. But then the knock the week before and the week before that was when those two don't play well, Freo don't win. So those two play well and they win. How do you get yourself out of a situation where you don't have to have those two play to win? Like, you almost need to see Freo win with Brayshaw getting tagged out of a game or something. I don't know. Because it's not a negative. You want your best players playing well.
Well, that's about to say that. I mean, if you look across the competition, generally when teams win, their best players play well.
Yeah.
So that, I don't...
It's just more... sometimes when they lose, their best players can still play well, whereas it feels like Freo, if Sarong and Brayshaw play well, they don't often lose.
So touch wood, they don't get injured in that sense because they're pretty durable from what my memory says.
Yep.
They keep ticking on. So, yeah, a really good performance by them. We know the run to come is great, but they did a lot right on the weekend. What they did differently, just off the top of my head, of course, they had 60-plus entries against Collingwood, but couldn't kick a score. This time, I think it was 56 entries and 13-17. Is that off the top of my head? So 30 scoring shots. So a lot better efficiency getting a score from the entries. Not so much the efficiency in front of goal, but you'd sort of take that as something you can improve in the short to medium term.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good call. I don't know exactly what they've changed. Obviously, we're sort of just watching along and looking at it, but like Shea Bolton has a lot to do with this, the way that they've used him.
He's getting better because I think he's been a slow burn.
So was he unfit to start the year?
Possibly. Whether he's unfit, whether he was still, it might take, a while to fit into the style that the Dockers are playing, but I think they've got the mix right now. I think you're better off having him in there to get the ball inside 50 than worrying about. He just adds that different dimension, and he can certainly do things that Brayshaw and Sarong can't.
By the eye, watching him play with Brayshaw and Sarong in the midfield, like that is exactly what they bought.
Exactly
the last couple of weeks,
yeah.
goal kicking, excitement machine that has pace. that bamboozles people regularly. Like he is the missing piece. That is why I was so heavy on getting him there. They just either he hasn't been fit enough and he hasn't been able to impact games like you wanted to, or he hasn't been used in the right role. But whatever they've done, he's been unleashed.
And then again, just looking ahead, and it may not transpire, but you put Cozzy Pickett into that mix if that comes to pass. And bear in mind, we all keep forgetting, Amos is having a tough trot. Tracy is still a developing star of the game, we think.
Yes.
There's still, I think Amos is still only 21 and Tracy might be 22, but they are in their early 20s.
Yes.
So they've got, you put 3 or 4 more years into them. I know it's hard to be patient as a Docker supporter, but there's a lot of upside if you can just hold your ground.
The Shelter Footy Cast, where WA's best footy show and WA's best beer combine. It's Will Schofield and Mark Reddings. Yes.
Mr. Schofield, I just want to add, I mentioned Kevin Bartlett. Well, he did kick 84 goals in 1980. He did, but listen, I've got the answer. He didn't win the Coleman Medal because you know what?
What?
His teammate, Michael Disco Roach, kicked 107 goals.
So a 1-2 punch, you're in trouble.
200 goals between the two, the big man and Disco Roach and KB.
That is very, very good.
Anyway,
well done, Skater.
Yeah, I'm very good at that
So
sort of
Roach went back-to-back, 107 then 86.
And I've got to say, it is quite sad we don't see those, the 100 goals. I mean, is Buddy the last to kick 100, I think, in 07 or 08?
2008, Skater. Well done.
Were you born, you live then? Yeah,
Yeah.
aware of that? You playing footy, so you get interest in the results in?
1998, Tony Lockett kicked 107, Skate.
We do miss those days, don't we?
See, there was a. See,
I'm saying goal kickers are like a forward kicking 100 for the year. Are we going to see it again?
There was a big patch from 1988 to 1996. I don't even tell you that yet. Dunstall, Longmire, Lockett, Ablett, and they all shared them.
Did Longmire kick 100 goals?
Longmire kicked 98.
Oh,
so he let the team down here. But every other year, I'll just say the numbers: 117 goals, 124, 128, 98 was Longmire, 118, 139 from Jason Dunstall in 92.
92, and they didn't win the flag.
No, 124, 113, 118, 114. Like that was golden era of goal kicking.
Perfect. And you know what? I reckon you can imagine that match that Longmire was playing in, and he's on 97. How like they're trying to get in the ball.
My mind instantly goes to what about the backman playing on these blokes? I'm gonna tell you, Shelter Footy Cast, ladies and gentlemen. I'll do a little bit of research this week, and I'll see who's reverse Coleman in those years. Like who's getting big bags kicked on them. Like there must have been blokes getting 15, 16 goals a week kicked on them.
I'm trying to think. I mean,
Stephen Silvani's the guy in that, but he played on all those blokes. So he's going to be the number one. I'm going to see.
Yes,
he would have see how good he was.
No, well, he was very good, but I think you're right. The numbers will suggest he still had. I mean, guys like Michael Brennan in the later 80s. I'm just trying to think of some of the fullbacks around the competition.
Ash McIntosh was in and around there, 92.
Yeah, you're right. Ashley McIntosh. Just trying to think. Yeah, but that's your go now. Let's just tell us the backman of that era. And they sort of walk around now with a sort of chest out, but
Jakovic. I'm going to do a bit of work on Jakovic.
Well, he's sort of centre half back, and all you have to do, he brings up Carey, sort of, how his arms are sort of.
I bet you, I'll find someone that has him. Someone will have him, and he won't be happy.
He'll be really peed.
All right, Skate, I got something for you. Shelter's latest limited release, the Export Stout, has launched for winter 2025. I can see your mouth watering now, Skate. The Export Stout is the perfect beer for a night in front of the footy. As evenings get colder and the days get shorter, it's a rich and comforting brew with a balanced, bitter finish that leaves you wanting more. It sounds like Skeeter sort of.
Sounds like one of my ex-girlfriends.
Oh, my goodness gracious me. So that's available at any good bar and bottle shop, as well as online at shelterbrewing.com.au. Use Shelter Footycast at checkout to get yourself 10% off that right now. So stock's limited. So if you see it, grab it, because otherwise it'll be gone. Lead Light, which is just down the road. That's on tap down there. Skate, are you much of a stout drinker?
Well, you probably guess I'm not. But I am drinking my Shelter at the moment. I'm at home and just have a couple before I launch into my next variation.
So I wanted to let people know the stout is out right now. It's one of Shelter's best brews. I just wasn't in the mood this morning, but can I do something with you Thursday?
What do you mean?
I'm gonna get you to a taste test of the stout Thursday morning.
Oh,
I've got some in the fridge. It's in the fridge. It's not a joke. It's not a joke. I just want you to have a taste. I'm not gonna make you scull a stout.
I did watch something on Spotlight last night where this lady poisoned with cyanide with coffee. So you're not going to do anything silly to me, are you? I deserve to be, I don't deserve to be treated like... And then, this is funny. Look, we'll record Skeet going down with a poison in his body. And you'd record that and you'd make money.
Yeah.
And you know what? I want you to cry if I,
I'd probably be in jail, I reckon. We're not going to do that to you. Mate, just a taste test.
Okay, but just don't
I'm not trying to stitch up.
You always try and stitch me up. There's
I
something
do.
there. I'm worried.
No, the stitch up was meant to be, it was going to be a surprise. I was just going to slide it over to you.
Thursday's fine because I don't have to drive far to get home.
So you can have a full stout. Perfect. All right, so let's get into the rest of it. Go and get yourself a stout on the website, shelterbrewing.com.au. Right now, Gold Coast 104 defeated Hawthorn 96 Thursday night. He's getting further and further away.
It's like about 2 weeks ago. And I called this game. I still can't remember what happened.
This is in Darwin as well, Skate. It was a good game.
It was a great game. And you know what? Often those matches in Darwin, the ball's slippery and it's low scoring and it's dour. The matches in more recent times, and whether it's the way the Gold Coast play, because defensively they're probably not as stout as what Damien Harvick would like, but when you...
Not as what?
It's stout.
I see.
I know. Yeah, I did it. I'm not that. I actually got to. I can weave these in.
It's a compliment.
The weave, as Donald Trump would say.
Your favourite.
My mate's got prostate cancer, unfortunately.
Who's
Joe
mate?
Biden. Yeah.
Oh, Joe
Yeah.
Biden.
So yeah.
I thought Donald was your mate.
No, he's not my mate. He's not definitely not my mate. Gold Coast Suns.
Yes.
8 from 8 up there.
Are they?
Yeah, 8 from 8.
Wow.
And Hawks threw a few punches as well. They were.
They're in front at three-quarter time.
In front of three-quarter time, they had momentum, but the work of the Suns and what they did makes you think that they're going to play finals now. It's just a question of where they finish on the table. If that's, I'm not too stating the obvious, is it that they've done enough, you think, with the home games to come, a game in hand as well? So realistically, if you're in this position, you're going to be thinking top 4.
I'm telling you right now, Skate, if you remember, sometimes you have trouble doing... Sorry, there was no need for
That's
that.
True,
so yeah, it's true. So at the start of the year, I told you, when they put this game, Gold Coast Essendon, to the back of the year, we are going to see Gold Coast lock themselves into a top 4 or a top 2 situation. They're going to have nothing on the line for that game, and they're going to play their bottom 18 players and no one on the bench. It is going to be a joke of a game.
No. I see. It's a possibility, but there's also the prospect that they're in 5th position. They need to win the game with, say, a little bit of percentage to finish in 4th. So it's definitely still could have something riding it. But I do concede that. So how's the AFL looking? Essendon's not playing finals. We don't think.
Are they done? Well, because I was just thinking like maybe Essendon's trying to scrap together one last win, and it means everything to them. And it means nothing to Gold Coast.
Yeah.
And Essendon win by 180 because they need a massive percentage boost.
That's all possible but unlikely. I'd suggest John Noble. Here's the bloke that wasn't wanted by Collingwood.
Yes.
36 touches at the weekend. Noah Anderson, 35.
1,001 metres gained from John Noble.
A lot of distance. Took Miller in game 200. 2 goals, 22 disposals. Thanks, Richie. That's true.
Very good, Skate. You're on today.
Oh,
So Suns led by 32 points in the second quarter, but Hawks came back and led by 3 points at three-quarter time. They'll be disappointed to lose that, I think, Hawthorn, obviously. But you're saying... I kept asking you questions. I didn't say this. So
So 59 inside 50s apiece. I think when you looked at the side that Hawthorn selected, now this is probably, they obviously were desperately trying to win the game, but they've managed a few blokes. Lloyd Meek was rested. I think Bruce, Gunston.
Yes.
Yeah. So they didn't take their best side up there, but I don't think they've lost any admirers. I think everyone knows, I'm just checking the ladder now, and Hawthorn sit in 4th position. I don't think they've played anywhere near as well as they did at various stages last year, particularly in the back half of the season. So,
they have 4 games before their bye.
Massive games.
Brisbane, Collingwood, Dogs, Adelaide.
Wow, that's going to really see if Sam Mitchell has got this group humming, because I don't think we've seen the best of them. They're workmanlike. Will Day, when's he likely to?
Nah, mate. I'd say he's done for the year. We spoke to Steve Gravina.
Yep.
That injury that he has, I could be completely wrong here, but the injury that he has is one that can turn career-ending if you don't get right. the blood supply to whatever, is it the navicular?
I've heard of that.
Making that
I've
up.
heard navicular.
Yeah. I think it might be his navicular. That has ended careers very quickly. So they will be as cautious as all cautious on that. They won't be rushing him back. He could very well be done for the year. Important player for them, though.
Yeah, can I just quickly shout out, having called the game, Nick Watson, he was very good. 3 goals. Every time he went near the ball, something looked like it was going to happen. So he's a player. And he, along with Ginnivan, when they're on song together, they sort of look for each other. And, yeah, they're a pretty handy setup. And Marbia Chol, as we know, emerging. Look, Sun's hard to beat up there. No one's beaten up there yet. So 8-point loss, Hawks. Nothing to be too concerned about. But you're right, the next month is challenging.
Sydney 78 defeated Carlton 62 SCG Friday night. This was a game of 2 halves. Carlton called this one with 6PR. Carlton were all over Sydney at half time.
But that's what they do.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, they led at all 3 breaks, Carlton, and lost. Second time they've done that this year after doing the same thing against the Dogs. Plus round 1 against Richmond, they were level at 3/4 time and leading at quarter and half time. Could have been 3 times. So I don't think that's a fitness thing. Just
what is it then?
Mentality, mate. It's a mindset that that just as much as Collingwood have,
or going back in time, 2 years ago when it was,
Carlton don't.
Yeah.
That there's some coaching elements to it, structure and system, and knowing your role. Because when the game gets tight, it doesn't usually come down to who's fitter. It comes down to who can execute and who can play their role, and Carlton just can't do it.
And their composure,
that's a mindset, mate. It is not a skill-based thing that you can. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was skill-based, they wouldn't be in front or they wouldn't be leading. They wouldn't win quarters because they're skillful. They just can't execute when it matters. But they were pretty much all over Sydney. Like Sydney weren't doing many things right. I really think coaches get too smart for themselves sometimes, and I'm not saying this directly at Dean Cox, but coaches across the AFL, they look at their midfield mix and they use that exact word. Oh, our midfield mix isn't going to be good enough, and we're gonna swap Isaac Heaney and we're gonna swap Chad Warner through the forward line. And we're gonna keep them in the forward line. They're going to be a dangerous avenue to goal to us. Well, the trouble is, if you do that, you can't get it into their midfield. So for the first half, Isaac Heaney was irrelevant. He did nothing. He made basically no impact on the game. Chad Warner started okay, but then he was spending time forward too. In the third quarter, Isaac Heaney had 15 touches, had 3 shots on goal, had 5 clearances, and that quarter alone would have been better than half the blokes on the game. So they put him in the midfield. They put Chad Warner in the midfield, and shock. You put your best players in the midfield, and you beat the team.
And Warner finishes with 30 and 2 goals. Heaney with 38 and 2-5.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with that. I mean, you can get a bit too funky with putting those players inside 50, but if you don't get the ball there, if you haven't got your best players around the ball, generally that's the ingredient for success. But Sydney, I'm still not sold on them, Scully, to be totally honest. I think they win by 16. Yeah, obviously they haven't had their full strength side in for a chunk of the season. As for Carlton, well, they're at the moment where they're sitting. 11th position, 16th, probably going to be in that 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th spot. They're
not playing.
They're not beating any. They're not beating the better sides of the comp, are they?
No, they'll win some games clearly in the back half of the year, but they're not playing final skate. No way. Excuse me. Collingwood 78 defeated Kawana, Adelaide 68 at the MCG. This is a pretty good game in wet conditions though. 67,000 people rocked up at the G to watch this one. It was a good matchup on paper, and it probably did live up to expectations. Adelaide dominated a lot of parts of this game, 10 plus in clearances, 8 plus in inside 50s. Just couldn't take their chances and shock Collingwood after we saw what they did against Freo here. They don't need to win inside 50s to win games, and they were just elite. Shout out to my dour defender, my brother, Billy Frampton. He kept the big Riley Thilthorpe goalless Skeeter.
Back to the Scully. Bear in mind, Billy...
Goalless.
Billy is...
Big Billy.
Been given the opportunity. I mean, Darcy Moore misses the match. He's still trying to cement a spot in the side, to be totally honest. Look, issues for Adelaide, you're right, in front of goal, and Isaac Rankin, who is a star,
yes,
butchered the footy on a couple of times. Crows had a clearance advantage, 39-29, 12-9 centre bounce clearances, thanks to Aspect Accounting for all its work.
Yeah, just our Thursday sponsor. But
no, but that's okay. We just dropped them in.
Yeah, we do. We look after our sponsors.
Give them an extra along the way. You always felt that Collingwood would find that that avenue to goal or that moment they'd take, and I think they've won 10 or 11 in a row against them.
Yeah, and at the G as well. I don't think there's probably too much difference between these two sides, which is a credit to Adelaide, but Collingwood, they are all the way back. If you didn't think they were, they sit on top of the ladder at the end of this round. Like, they are back to premiership form.
And their pressure act's enormous. One I saw was Bo McCreary run down Isaac Rankin, who was outstanding in the pocket, gets the free kick, kicks the goal. There's some rain around, and they were challenged. I guess they got up to 22 points in that last quarter, back to 10 in the end, and that's sort of a theme between these teams. Collingwood just know how to, a bit like you said with Carlton, they just know how to, unlike Carlton, they know how to finish off matches.
Yep, they know how to win, which should never be undersold, and that is what makes premiership sides. Something that Carlton is a long way from, and Collingwood is knocking the door down again this year. Geelong at 1-15 defeated Yartapulti 39. Absolutely disgusting from Port Adelaide at Adelaide Oval. Would have been a bunch of Port Adelaide fans go and watch this and just think, what am I watching here? It's their third 75-point loss this year, plus point loss this year.
And it just elevates the discussion about Josh Carr and getting him in the seat earlier than the end of the season, which I don't think is going to happen. I think Kenny will see it out, but they are falling off the mountain, aren't they? And one of the few things I think we both saw coming was Port going down this path at the start of the season. Only issue is here for both teams, injuries, left, right and centre. Horn Francis, hamstring. Patrick Dangerfield, hamstring. Might have been Lockie Jones, hamstring.
Jack Bowes. They all did a hamstring in the first half.
Yeah.
What was going on there? Was it cold?
No, the state game was before that. By the way, well done WA knocking over SA by 30 points. My daughter was in Adelaide. She said it was a bit cool. Yeah.
So the state game,
curtain raiser sort of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we smashed them, did we?
Yeah, we won by 30. Absolutely. Milan Murdoch, Simpson Medal.
He should be on an AFL list.
It's a good point. He's only won 3 now, I think. Simpson medals.
He should be on an AFL list.
Well, that's the question that deserves to be asked. Adam Reid, well done. But just like Geelong, that was an imposing performance. But then Jeremy Cameron just the lazy 7.
Can Bailey Smith win the Brownlow?
He's second favourite now. He's second favourite behind Nick Dacos.
One of the all-time years. And in the last month, he's been best on ground.
Are you worried about him getting suspended at some stage, doing something stupid or not?
No, I'm not. No.
Okay.
Can you win the Brownlow flipping the bird? I reckon you can.
Hitting blokes in the face with footies.
Imagine getting up, getting the Brownlow, and just flipping the bird, walking off. That'd be good.
You'd love that. That's what you'd do.
That is what I'm.
And you'd be recording yourself. So you're like, we got down 7 cameras here now. We'll just go with it.
So he has just been out of this world. I heard sort of different stories about him at Western Bulldogs. I certainly wasn't expecting this year the stories that I heard. I don't know if I fully appreciated his work rate by watching him. Like he just outworks people.
Yeah.
No one's really gone hard at him either. But I reckon if you did, it's a little bit like Nick Dacos. You know how people say you can't tag Nick Dacos? It's because of his work rate. Bailey Smith turned himself into that.
So Geelong, essentially, what they did, they handed over pick 18 and another selection, I think, which was pocket money, really,
Junk.
for a bloke with an ACL. So at that stage, people were going, ACL, will he come back? Well, they are that far in front. It's not funny. I don't think Geelong can win the flag, mind you, but I think he's given them that buzz and that work rate that invigorates the midfield and obviously means that Danger can go forward more. Unfortunately, he'll be missing. And so will a couple of Port players as they come to take on Walliot up this week.
That is a good point. A couple of Port Adelaide players out before that game. Western Bulldogs, 127 defeated, Essendon 36, Marvel Stadium. If we're talking about sides that are disappointing, I mean, this is the most disappointing performance of the week.
I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to say let's focus on the fact that the Bulldogs are now. We're saying Collingwood, we're saying Brisbane still, despite their defeat, are the two that stand out. Now, Bulldogs are in that same grouping with Hawthorn, I think, you'd have to say. not quite at the top level, but Luke Beveridge, outstanding job. He's been terrific, and this game was done by quarter time. So for all the negatives that Essendon threw out, which were plenty, the Bulldogs, gee, they were terrific. Riley West hitting the scoreboard. Now, Sam Darcy, did he suffer an injury or not?
Sam Darcy?
Yeah, no?
Sam Darcy did his knee
I'm
6 weeks ago.
No, Sam Darcy, what I say, Sam, he did, that's 100% right. Sam Darcy, what is his update on his return? To try and get myself out of that pickle.
I think, like, towards the end of the year...
late?
Yeah, like...
So Norton is their main man now. Hugelhagen's gone. Darcy's not in the frame back into the season.
I think finals is on the agenda, though, which is better than an ACL.
And Norton, he missed a few marks on the weekend, but
he's competing better. I mean, you missed the major one, Skeeter. Bailey Dale, 49 disposals, 1,016 metres gained. It's a club record. And if you think about the players that have played for the Bulldogs...
Ryan Griffin used to get a bit of it.
Yeah, but like I would say a couple of dads in Tony Liberatore and Scott West used to get a fair bit of it. Mm-hmm. There's been some very good ball accumulators through that midfield, and 49, he actually had an opportunity for 50. I think Matt Kennedy had the ball and he could have squared it up to him for 50, but didn't quite get it. I was with a couple of old West Coast lads on that Saturday watching this game, a couple of Adam Selwood's teammates, and one of them said, "Do you reckon you know, like, if you've had 49 touches,
do you know?
Do you know?" And I was like, "I reckon you know. You've had a fair bit of it." Like,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, going back, Diesel Williams had it big numbers. Peter Featherby, I think, for Geelong had it once 52 times or thereabouts. Yes. So, but that's a albeit the numbers nowadays can, you can get some high 30s, but 49, that's massive.
Yeah,
and they restricted Essendon to 37 entries. So, and it's not just their big names. You think of, I mentioned Riley West, Buku Khamis, Joel Frazier. There's a nice blend coming through here, and it's if you're a Dog supporter, you're starting to think, well, this is 2016 in the sense of the different style of way they flew home, but this side's playing with a winning mentality.
Adam Treloar had a setback with his calf. I reckon he'll be disappointed. He'll be wanting to try and get back into this side, and there's probably a few that have taken his spot, like. Ed Richards has had a massive year this year, 27 and kicked 2-2. He's doing that as a midfielder. He's probably the guy that's gone in and been that midfielder instead of Treloar. So, Adam Treloar's got a fairly long way back to get into this side. And
it's a good problem for Luke Beveridge to have if you've got him. I say you don't want him injured, but if you've got him working his way back in after the bye, for instance, that's a handy result.
North Melbourne 78 defeated Richmond 74 in the Battle of the Spoon down the bottom of the ladder. Only 6 Kangaroos had won on the MCG before yesterday. Luke McDonald, only one that had won for North Melbourne. So there were 7 players that had played on the G that were out there on the weekend, which is quite a funny stat. North Melbourne dominated clearances in this one. It was a big battle in the middle of the ground, Cherry versus Nankervis. I didn't see this game.
I saw part of it.
But it felt like I was just watching the Dream Team stats because I had Cherry as my captain. It felt like they must have been just tapping it to the ground and then tackling each other. Tristan Cherry had 12 tackles, 20 disposals and 51 hit-outs. Nankervis had 15 disposals, 13 tackles and 47 hit-outs. They had 100 hit-outs between them. That's a big day at stoppage for both players.
It looked like two teams that just did not really know how to win a game of footy. No, that's true.
Perfect.
And you mentioned some of the stats with Kangaroos not having tasted success. 9 seasons, 161 games. Jai Simpkin had never tasted victory on the MCG.
How many games?
161.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
For a Melbourne-based player.
That's enormous.
That's a lot.
That's 9 seasons. So he goes to grand final day and just has a look. I've been playing footy for 9 years, but never won a game.
Isn't he the captain?
He's a captain. And they rushed him.
North Melbourne have never won at the MCG.
Yeah, he lost his grandmother during the week. It was a really big week. So
that's terrible.
I'm sure it's an emotional weekend for him and for the Kangaroos who did everything but lose that game. I was watching this before preparing for the other game yesterday, and I'm thinking, gee whiz, I wasn't sure who to barrack for. Actually, I tipped North, you tipped Richmond. I know that.
Did I?
I don't know who you tipped. We'll find out. We need to go through that because that sort of can either lighten my Monday or bring me back to earth. So Scully checks on that. Some of the players.
Oh, why is it?
Oh, I don't know.
This will make you happy. I got 5 right on the weekend.
Yeah, well, bear in mind, I didn't pick the Eagles or the Dockers, so there's take 2 off me automatically, and I didn't pick Melbourne.
Okay, so I must have picked... I picked North Melbourne.
Did you really?
Yeah. I picked North, I picked Bulldogs.
You only have a roughie.
Brisbane lost.
Yeah, well, I mentioned that, yeah. It's a bit like Sam Darcy, just had a bit of a brain fade.
Did not even see that game. I picked GWS.
Yeah, we all did.
I picked St Kilda. I picked Adelaide to beat Collingwood as my upset.
Yeah, that's no good.
Okay, so I've gone down in ranking. Can
you tell us whereabouts in the ranking?
Okay, just hang on. So
welcome to the Shelter Footy Cast.
Yeah, so this is the Backchat Shelter footy tipping comp. Matt Cutback, by the way, sits on top of the table.
Matt who? Cupcake.
Cutback.
Oh, Cutback.
He has been in the top. He was top 5 last year, so he would have even won it last year. So he's on 67 tips, Skeeter. Just to give you an indication, I'm on 51, so he's 16 in front of me. I am coming 218th. So it's $2,180 in the hole at the moment, Skeeter. Oh, geez, I tell you what. So there's 2 level at the top of the table, Matt Cutback and Mr. Farm. So well done to you guys, sitting very nicely.
No one got a 9 surely at the weekend.
So Graham 84 got 7, and he got
bad.
an exact margin from Graham 84. So Graham, get in contact with us, and we'll get you out a carton of Shelter Skeet. Feels like we're at that game that I didn't know the result of. Nam defeated Brisbane 99-88. I genuinely
Until this
did
morning.
not till 1 second ago where I just saw my tips.
I did mention about 3
I wasn't
times.
listening
No,
to.
clearly.
Why would I be listening to you?
That's a fair point. This feels like I'm at home again. No, well, this game I didn't see myself for obvious reasons because I'm calling the other game.
When did it happen?
It happened yesterday afternoon at 1:20, so I was rolling
Same
into,
time, West Coast.
rolling 3 hours. But Melbourne were in all sorts at three-quarter time. To my knowledge, they stormed home in the final quarter. And, yeah, to be honest with you, Chris Fagan said his team was annihilated in the last quarter. That being said, it was 4-1. So it wasn't, they've just found a way up at the Gabatoir.
It's a big win.
It's a massive win for them to get across the line and do what they did.
So Brisbane just like slightly off the ball. I mean, they drew against the Kangaroos last week.
They are off the ball. And even when they've won this year, apart from maybe the Gold Coast, they've had some good wins, obviously.
They beat Gold Coast at the Gabba.
Gold Coast probably still developing as a side, but they have had to conjure comebacks pretty regularly.
Find ways to win.
And that sometimes is disguised as maybe some deeper issues. Look, they're still second. Let's not get too concerned.
They're fine.
They're going okay.
Yes.
But I reckon Chris Fagan wouldn't be saying we're fine. He internally be asking a few questions of, where does this group want to go this year? At some stage, not now, but you got to put the asset on them at some stage just to check in.
Jake Melksham kicked 4 goals, played a defensive forward role, and Harris Andrews. Jake Melksham loves doing that. He used to do it against Gov too. So he kept him to 3 marks, just his second lowest in 2 years for the reigning Jack Buckley medalist in Harris Andrews. So Melbourne kicked 4 goals to 1 in the last quarter to win. So there you go. These were 1 and 8 in the last quarter. They were 1 and 8 in last quarters before yesterday.
I think they were 4 of their last 5 or something to that degree. So I'm not sure they're back, Melbourne, but you beat the reigning premiers on their own deck. There's enough there. I'm still not sure they can kick a score regularly, but their midfield, we know what their midfield's like. And Oliver, again, having not seen the game, I'm not sure if he had a run with role as has been his more recent transition. But if that's the case, then Simon Goodwin, if he can get his way out of this pickle as a coach, I'll say this. I mean, if they, for instance, could play finals, that would be a remarkable result, I'd suggest, for Melbourne.
So they're 1 game back from finals. You think they can play finals?
No, I'm saying if they could play finals, for him, given where I think most of us saw them bottom 6, a month or so ago. Given some of the performances they were dishing up?
Well, they still are bottom 6. They're 14th.
Well, okay. Well, but 1 game outside the 8. My point is, if they could somehow play finals,
West Coast are 4 games outside the 8.
Yeah, well, they're 1 game outside. There's a bit difference. But anyway, my point is, Goodwin, they've won some matches in recent times, so you've got to give them a tick for what they're doing.
Shelter Brewing Co. Beer fresh from the Bustle and Foreshore. Will Schofield, Mark Reddings. All right, Shelter Footy Cast questions and comments if you want to get in touch with the show. or give me a new voice box. Send it in. Shelter Footycast on socials, footycast@backchatstudios.com.au. Will send us an email, or you can put a comment in the YouTube below and we will get to it if it's any good. Tilly the Dingo on Instagram. Wilma here. You reckon Eagles AFLW should trade for Yasmin Dersma and Eagles men then pick up her brother early in the draft in order to keep Harley Reid? I think we've sort of maybe touched on that in the past. Do you reckon that's a...
I'm not sure clubs go down to that degree. Are they that desperate to manipulate?
It'd be funny if it happens. Mr. Elwood78 on YouTube. West Coast needs to go and get Will Brodie. Will Brodie still can't get a game.
He can't get a game at the Dockers, can he? I'm not sure how old Will is now. He's getting a lot of it at waffle level. Is he what the Eagles need? I probably think I really like what we're seeing, albeit the change up and getting a Tyler Brockman, getting Liam Ryan, just changing up that midfield mix to give them that explosiveness. I'm not sure. I wouldn't be chasing Will Brodie.
Yes.
Would you?
I mean, if he was
for nothing,
for free, like if you just get him,
I
would.
Yeah.
You could have worse players than Will Brodie on your list.
So would you take him, for instance, or a Brandon Parfitt in the mid-season draft, just as a thought bubble?
Different players, aren't they?
Yeah.
And Parfitt's doing it in the waffle. I mean, so's
So
Brodie.
is Brodie, essentially.
So's Brodie. Good point. Laura Kane's administrative experience in the AFL includes running the exceptional powerhouse of a footy club, North Melbourne. Not saying the problem is all Laura, but we're definitely seeing a constant stream of baffling and inconsistent decision-making and reactive, short-sighted tail chasing. That is from Broken Shares. I would agree.
I thought that was you giving us an editorial.
Yeah, this is why probably the tribunal position is probably going to be in
tough one
a little
for
bit of jeopardy. Now would be a good time for the Tab Touch to release the Luke Jackson lie detector test. That's from Josh on YouTube. We did a lie detector test with Luke Jackson at the start of the year.
Yeah.
There is unreleased footage that I will say right now will support Fremantle keeping Luke Jackson. They needed to release it in full. He did not tell one lie for the entire time. Luke Jackson, we had Andy Brayshaw, we had Michael Fredericks, and we had one other player. They all just lied their asses off, and it was hilarious. Luke Jackson, the lie detector guy, was like, I've never seen a result like this in 50 years. He just sat there and he just blatantly told us, like, we asked him questions about
so it's a polygraph.
Going to Melbourne and, Melbourne players. Yeah, a genuine polygraph
Is it
test.
legit, is it?
And he did not fail one. So I can't remember exactly what they were, but it was very positive.
Okay.
It was a lot of them revolved around winning a premiership for Fremantle. And he was just, we gave him options like, what would you rather do, win a premiership for Fremantle or, give up your favourite runners? And then it went up and up and up, and it was like, get traded to Melbourne. And, we put him on him a bit. He wants to win a Fremantle premiership. That's what he wants to do. I can guarantee
we
that.
interviewed him on the radio after the win on Saturday, and he was pretty good. They said don't ask questions a lot around that territory, and I did ask one just about how the week was and whether he's frustrated. He handled it pretty well.
Skeeter's banned from Fremantle media.
No. Well, you got to ask the question if you get him on, and then not be too intrusive, but you still have to ask the question. He's been in the focus, and what I have noticed about him, and Luke doesn't tend to, he's not the greatest media performer in terms of being comfortable in front of a camera, but he's just a laid-back bloke who just gives you his answers, and I actually tend to believe when he's speaking what he's saying.
So do I. 3 more of these in an email, Skeet. Henderson Labs wants to know, where do we sign up for the Skeeter Health Retreat on YouTube?
Health retreat. No, all I'm doing is just walking every morning and.
No, I think maybe a bit more of like you run sort of like a bit of a health retreat for people. Everyone comes in, you get some big wide screens in a room.
Oh, that type of health retreat.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Just to like get you just lads that are like you, Skate. Just your footy.
Have a beverage.
Having a beverage.
Have
a punt.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of us out there.
A little cheeky. It's a cheeky. It's a little cheeky. Out the back of the cubby house. G'day, lads and Skate. Off the top, absolutely love the pod. Keep the sensational content coming. Just taking a look at this week's fixture coming up, and the boy is it Vic heavy. The only 4 teams not playing in Victoria this week is Freo versus Port and Crows versus the Eagles. Every other game is in Victoria, Skeeter. Did you know that?
Think of that.
No, I didn't even look at it.
But,
I wouldn't even know if I.
Well, we're lucky if we know which game we're covering as individuals this week, let alone who's playing where.
And Kyle Sinclair says Skeeter's onto something with the corruption of the VFL.
No, I did not say that. I said players, certain players are afforded more on the ground by umpires than others. Great players get more time, more lenient in my humble.
Yes. This will be a good lead in. So Scully and Skeet regarding the Eagles, that is the brand of footy. This is by email from Benjamin Fletcher.
Must have been the last 12 hours, is it?
It was, yes. That is the brand of footy we all have been bloody waiting for. Barely missed any tackles, played with intent, got around the lads after 1%ers. I saw that. Threw their weight around. I love seeing them play with a bit of dog in them. This is literally at the core of what's been missing. Without being dramatic, I was watching with tears in my eyes. Huge week for them due to the circumstances. I have a feeling that it's taken the new list a few rounds to get to gel, work out a game plan to an extent. Do you think this will be able to be replicated again, and do you think this was a blip whilst playing with emotion due to Adam Selwood's passing? I'll answer all this, Kate. So I agree. I sat in the life members area, and there was a few former players up there as well. And one of them in particular said, this is the first time in about 3 years I've seen this sort of intent to be around their players and their teammates. And that person had watched a lot more footy, had been for me. I don't think it'll be a blip. I do think there was a lot of emotion around Adam Selwood's passing, and it's probably a good time to just speak about that and finish off the show, Skate. So massive week for the footy club, and it sort of felt like when Sellers' brother Troy passed away that we'd kind of lost one of our own as well. And then, to wake up to the news Saturday morning, I was about to coach when I found out, and just, you just feel absolutely sick for the Selwood family. I spoke about this when Troy passed away, and it feels like a broken record around the closeness that my family has with the Selwoods. Mum very close with Maria and Bryce. I was drafted a year in front of Scott and a few years back from Adams to play with both of them at West Coast. And Joel Sell was in my draft year and lived opposite my family in Geelong. So we're very connected. There's not really any other words to say around the grief that they will be feeling, and that's probably the most important thing. But if I can try to be a little bit proactive about it, around men's mental health, suicide is the number one killer in men aged under 45. You just like to think that if you're in a bad way and whatever is happening in your life, that you're able to speak to someone about it. And sometimes I do think this podcast provides a bit of that, Skate, that we don't try to be a mental health podcast, but you and I get in here and talk shit and have a laugh, and it's brilliant. Best part of my week. Gives us an opportunity to talk about footy, and I think, for people listening, it might give an opportunity just to shut down other things happening in their life. So I would just encourage anyone, especially males, which we have, I think 93% of people that listen to this podcast are men, which wouldn't surprise you, Skate, with the crap you and I talk. But I would just encourage anyone that isn't going well, or things aren't going well, or relationships or financial or whatever issues you have in your life, and just to speak to someone. It doesn't have to be a mate, it doesn't have to be a family member, it doesn't have to be a friend, just speak to someone. And if conversely, if you are on the other end of it and you can see someone's really struggling, reach out to them, basically.
Yep, hang in there. I mean, that's it's easy to say, but you're right. And if anyone has issues, obviously go and see professionals, see your family, speak. Unfortunately, it's too late for the Selwoods, and a very tough weekend. And our hearts go out to the family who are obviously coming over to WA, and rest in peace, Adam Selwood.
Yep, that's the way we'll finish things off today on the Shuttle Footy Cast.